Officer Daniel Hayes had worked in river search and rescue for almost 12 years, but nothing he had seen in all that time had ever prepared him for the night he found the pink suitcase floating alone in the icy water. It was nearly midnight, the riverbank silent except for the distant hum of passing cars and the soft, steady beat of the water against the rocks. He had been about to finish his shift, exhausted, ready to go home to his empty apartment where memories echoed louder than his footsteps. But destiny had a way of choosing its own timing, and that night, it chose him. Daniel noticed the suitcase first because of the color. A bright cotton candy pink that didn't belong in the dark, murky river. At first, he thought it had been dumped as trash, maybe blown in from the pier. But the odd thing was, despite the current, it wasn't drifting randomly. It was circling slowly, almost as if something inside was weighing it down in a deliberate rhythm. Curiosity pushed him closer. He aimed his flashlight at it, the beam slicing across the water. The suitcase bumped gently against a cluster of reeds, wobbled, and then settled, as if waiting for him. Daniel took a few cautious steps forward, hand on his holster out of habit, though he didn't expect danger. But then, a sound, soft, fragile, like a whimper. He froze. The river was quiet, but there, beneath the slosh of the water, he heard it again. A faint, muffled cry. Not the cry of an animal. Not the whine of a tool or broken machinery. It was a human cry. Small, weak, trembling. A child. Adrenaline shot through him like lightning. He splashed into the shallow edge of the river, grabbed the handle of the suitcase, and dragged it onto the muddy bank. His gloves were soaked, cold biting into his skin, but he didn't care. The suitcase was heavier than he expected, the crying inside growing more desperate as he lifted it. Hold on, sweetheart, he whispered without thinking. I'm here, I've got you. The zipper was tied with a cheap, frayed rope, knotted several times. Whoever had closed it wanted to make sure it wouldn't open. His hands shook with panic, not fear for himself, but for whatever innocent life was trapped inside. He reached for his pocketknife and sliced the rope. The zipper hissed as he pulled it open. His breath caught. Inside the suitcase, curled tightly like a terrified animal, was a little girl, no more than 5 years old. Her cheeks were streaked with dirt, her clothes soaked, her lips trembling from cold. Her tiny hands clutched a worn-out stuffed bunny missing one button eye. Tears streamed down her face as she stared up at him, wide-eyed, shaking violently. Daniel's heart cracked open in a way he hadn't felt in years. Hey, he said softly, kneeling beside her. It's okay. You're safe now. I've got you. But when he reached in to lift her, she flinched hard, curling tighter, shielding her face as though expecting a blow. It's okay, he whispered again, slower, gentler. I'm a police officer. I'm here to help. She blinked at the word, as if trying to understand. Police. Her tiny voice cracked. Yes, you're going to be okay. But as soon as he lifted her from the suitcase, he noticed something horrible. Her wrists were raw, irritated, showing reddish marks as if something had been tied around them recently. There were faint bruises blooming along her arms, some fresh, some older. Her ankles showed the same pattern. Daniel felt something hot rise in his chest, anger, grief, disbelief, all tangled together into a silent storm. He wrapped his jacket around her trembling body, lifted her close, shielding her from the cold wind that cut across the riverbank. I'm calling 911 right now, he whispered, voice shaking. You're safe. I promise you're safe. But just as he reached for his radio, the little girl clutched his shirt desperately. Don't call them, she cried. Please don't let them find me. His hand froze midair. Who? He asked gently. Who are you afraid of? Her lips quivered violently. She looked around the dark riverbank as though terrified someone might emerge from the shadows at any moment. Mommy's boyfriend, she whispered. He said he'd come back if I told anyone. He said he'd put me back in the water. Daniel felt his entire body go cold, but not from the river. He tightened his hold on her carefully, protectively. Look at me, he said softly. Her eyes, full of fear, finally met his. You are safe. No one is going to hurt you again. I won't let that happen. She stared at him for a long moment, then slowly nodded, just once, small and uncertain. He pressed his radio. Dispatch, this is Officer Hayes. I need immediate medical and backup units at River Mile 14. I've found a child, female, approximately 5 years old, alive in a submerged suitcase. She's hypothermic and injured. Repeat. Child found alive in suitcase. The silence on the other end lasted only a second before chaos erupted. Officer Hayes, confirm, alive. Alive, he said, emotion thick in his throat. But barely. Hurry. As he waited for help to arrive, he wrapped the girl securely in his arms, rocking her gently as she sobbed into his chest. He didn't know her name yet. He didn't know what horrors she had endured. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty, he would protect her with everything he had. When paramedics arrived, they gasped at the sight. Even they, hardened by years of emergencies, had never seen anything like this. They worked quickly, warming her with blankets, checking her pulse, oxygen, breathing. She clung to Daniel relentlessly, refusing to let anyone else touch her. It's okay, he assured the medics softly. Let me stay with her. For now. They nodded reluctantly. What's your name, sweetheart? He asked gently once they were inside the ambulance, lights flashing through the night. She hesitated. Lila, She whispered. My name is Lila. A name. A tiny spark of identity in a world that had tried to erase her. Lila, he repeated with a soft smile. That's a beautiful name. She looked unsure, like no one had ever told her that before. As the ambulance sped toward the hospital, Daniel stayed by her side, holding her small hand, feeling the tremors slowly settle. She dozed off halfway, exhaustion finally overtaking her, but her grip on his fingers never loosened. At the hospital, doctors took her in for tests. It broke his heart to let go of her hand, but she cried less this time, knowing he was nearby. He waited in the hallway, pacing back and forth. Every minute felt like an eternity. Memories of his own daughter, gone years before from a tragic accident, rose in his mind like ghosts. He swallowed hard, forcing them back. He had failed once. He would not fail again. The doctor finally approached him after nearly an hour. She's stable, the woman said. Physically worn down, malnourished, dehydrated, and hypothermic, but she's going to survive. Daniel exhaled in relief, leaning against the wall as his body finally unclenched. But emotionally, she's been through severe trauma. She'll need long-term care, counseling, a safe environment. She seems extremely bonded to you already. Did something happen at the scene? He told the doctor everything, from the suitcase to the river to her fear of being found. The doctor's face tightened with heartbreak. What kind of monster could do this to a child? She whispered. A coward, Daniel replied quietly. Investigators stormed into action. Social services were involved. Officers searched for Lila's mother and the boyfriend she feared. And through every interview, every report, every moment of chaos, Lila kept asking the same question. Where's Officer Daniel? He visited her every day. At first, she could barely speak, barely eat. She woke up from nightmares screaming, trembling violently, begging not to be returned to the river. Daniel would sit beside her until she calmed, holding her hand, humming softly, talking about silly things like puppies or cartoons just to make her smile. Slowly, she began to open up. She told him how her mother had fallen into heavy addiction after meeting the boyfriend, a man with a short temper and a cruel streak. She described nights of screaming, hitting, hunger, and fear. She had tried to hide, but he always found her. The day she ended up in the suitcase was the day her mother tried to fight him. She lost, and Lila, too small to defend herself, was forced into the waterlogged prison, zipped and tied, tossed from a bridge like trash. He said, if I sank, it was my fault, she whispered once, tears streaming down her cheeks. Because I cried too much. Daniel had to walk out of the room for a full minute to calm the rage burning through him. 2 weeks later, the boyfriend was arrested. Lila's mother, found injured and terrified, was taken into rehabilitation. Daniel visited her too, and when she saw him, she fell to her knees, sobbing apologies over and over. Thank you for saving my baby, she cried. Please, please don't let them take her from me forever. He didn't know what the future held. But he knew Lila deserved love, safety, stability. Months passed. Lila healed slowly, piece by piece. She laughed sometimes now, a sound Daniel had not heard when he first found her. She played. She painted. She started kindergarten. She always kept the stuffed bunny close, but Daniel bought her a new one, a white bunny with bright pink ears. She named it Hope. One sunny afternoon, after a meeting with social services, her caseworker approached Daniel with a bittersweet smile. She wants to live with you, she said quietly. She feels safe with you. And, if you're willing, you can apply to be her permanent guardian. The words hit him like a tidal wave. Daniel remembered the river, the cold, the fear, the tiny voice inside the suitcase. The way she clung to him like he was the only light left in her world. He looked at Lila, who was drawing on the floor nearby with crayons, bright colors, sunshine, flowers. Her trauma had not defined her. She was rebuilding herself, piece by fragile piece. And she had chosen him. Daniel knelt beside her. Lila, he said softly. She looked up, eyes bright. How would you feel about living with me forever? Her crayons dropped. Her tiny arms flew around his neck, squeezing tightly. Please, she whispered, voice shaking. Please don't ever leave me. He held her just as tightly, eyes filled with tears he didn't bother to hide. I'm not going anywhere, he said. I promise. And he meant it. From a pink suitcase in a freezing river to a warm, safe home filled with laughter and healing, Lila's life changed because someone cared enough to listen to a faint, desperate cry in the dark. Officer Daniel Hayes didn't just save her. She saved him too. Sometimes life puts the smallest voices in the darkest places, hoping someone with a brave heart will hear them. That night, a pink suitcase floating in a cold river carried not just a child, but a second chance. Officer Daniel didn't just rescue Lila, he proved that kindness can rewrite destiny. And Lila, with her tiny shaken voice, reminded the world that even in the deepest fear, hope still whispers. If this story touched your heart, remember, a single act of courage can save a life. A single moment of compassion can change a future. Never ignore the cries, seen or unseen, around you. You might be the miracle someone is waiting for. Message for Audience Sports Channel. Friends, I want to share something important with all of you. This channel is not just a collection of videos, it's our passion. Sports are not played only on the field, they are played from the heart. Every match, every highlight, every story carries emotion, struggle, and that energy that brings us together. The channel is running a bit slow, but if you stand with us, no slowdown can stop us. Your one comment, one like, one share, these aren't just numbers for us, they are fuel. This channel stays alive because you become a part of this journey. I just have one request. If you love sports, if you enjoy the thrill of every victory and every comeback, then please support this channel. Your support gives us the courage to create even better content. And we promise, from the heart, with passion, and full dedication, we will bring you the content you truly deserve. Sports is a family, and all of you are part of this family. Thank you, champions. Heart on fire.